Hi, I'm Anne Marie Johnson from Teacher to Teacher Help. In this video, I'd like to share with you how you can use microprogressions to power up your students' writing. I first learned about microprogressions when I read this book by Kate Roberts and Maggie Beatty Roberts. It's called DIY Literacy, Teaching Tools for Differentiation, Rigor, and Independence. And when I first read about microprogressions, I could immediately see the power in them. In this video, I'd like to share with you the steps for creating a microprogression and then show you several examples. So first, what is a microprogression? Well, a microprogression is a tool that gives students a clear path and allows them to immediately lift the level of their writing. So how do we create a microprogression? Well, the first step is to decide what skill we want to develop. And we want to make sure that that is an important writing skill. The second step then is to develop the criteria for each level of that skill. And we want to start with emerging levels of the skill to give students some immediate success and then move them toward more sophistication with that skill. And then we want to work with students to create models for each level of that and use that criteria at each level. I like to create progressions that have three or four levels. And I like to call them 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and then maybe 4-star. So let me show you some examples of microprogressions that I've created with students and give you some possibilities for how you can create some of your own. So I have some simple microprogressions and more complex microprogressions. Here's one that I use with young writers to show them how to add labels to their writing. So these are emerging writers who are starting by just drawing their stories or their information with pictures. And so a 1-star might be just having a picture. A 2-star would be a picture and then adding some labels. A 3-star would be a picture and lots of labels. A 4-star would be a picture and then lots of what we call fancy labels. So a fancy label is not just sky, but an adjective to go with it. So blue sky. And so I can meet every writer exactly where they are as a writer by having a microprogression. If they're only drawing pictures, I can lift the level just a bit by having them just start to draw, to write labels. If they are adding one label to a picture, then I can show them how they can lift the level, power up their writing, and start to add lots of labels. Here's another one. These two kind of go together. I have one for leads and then one for endings. So here's an example of a very basic lead. So just tell the first thing that happened, and then I have an example of it. I was playing outside. Tell the first thing that happened, and then tell who and where. Tell the first thing and then give lots of details. So you see how I'm showing how to gradually lift the level and then also including an example to show what that looks like. I have another one for endings, same thing. Tell the last thing that happened. My dad chased the dog away. My dad heard me screaming. He chased the dog away. I was happy. So in this one, I tell the last thing that happened, but I also added a feeling. And then the last one, tell the last thing, but then give different kinds of details. And here are some examples of the details. So both of these, again, will meet students right where they are in their level of writing and give me the opportunity to lift the level or power up their writing bit by bit. Let me show you a couple that are a little bit, or this one here is a little bit more advanced. This one is for a literary essay. So this is students are writing evidence for their literary essay, and we want to lift the level. So how do you strengthen the evidence? So this would be, well, I wrote a reason. Doris is brave because she stands up for herself. A 2-star, I wrote a reason, and I also included some evidence. Like for example, I wrote a reason, I included some evidence, and then I analyzed the evidence. This is important because notice some things that I did on this microprogression. Not only do I have the stars here, but I have different colors, and the colors match the example with the criteria so that visually it's really easy to see what's changing at each level. So something else that I added to this tool, and I like to put these inside page protectors and then sometimes add something in the back of the page protector. So in this case, I'm adding some of those sentence stems that I can use to coach students to analyze their evidence. And because I have this already ready on the back of the tool, in the moment of a conference or a small group, I can quickly coach students to do this. I like to put these in page protectors, and these become handy tools that you can just hang up around the classroom. And when a student is working on this skill, they can go grab this, take it over to their desk, and they're not copying, they're looking at my example, and then they're trying to transfer that into their own writing. So I'm teaching the writer, not just this piece of writing. And here's another one. This is one that I use for information writing. So we know that informational writers add facts to their writing, but then they need to elaborate on those facts too. So this microprogression is teaching my readers more and more. So in this column, I just have a fact. So I have a fact on each page. This one, I have a fact, but I wrote more. I have a fact, I wrote more and more. Now, even though I only have a little bit to distinguish between a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, I wrote more, and then I wrote more and more. I have to tell you that this very simple microprogression works wonders for students. I've used this even down into a first grade classroom, and it's amazing how students immediately see how to power up their writing or lift it to this 1-star, 2-star, 3 stars, and immediately are able to do that in their own writing. So let me show you a couple other things that I do in a conference or a small group. One thing I like to do to make it more interactive is just use some of these stars and show them how we can take our writing and move it from a 1-star to a 2-star and then to a 3-star. And of course, showing them then what that looks like in their writing. So another thing that I like to do is not only show them this microprogression, but then demonstrate what that looks like on an actual piece of writing. And you can see this one has been written on many times here. I put this inside a page protector, and then I use these dry erase markers so that I can write on it and then erase it and use it again and again. So candy is made out of mostly sugar. I wrote a fact there. Well, can I push myself to power up my writing and say one more thing? Candy is made out of mostly sugar. There are many types of candy. Okay, do you see what I did? I moved it from a 1-star to a 2-star. I have a fact, and then I wrote more. Could I power up my writing and make it a 3-star? Let me think. Candy is made out of mostly sugar. There are many types of candy. I'm going to use a different color of marker here to show. Maybe I could say, there is chocolate, and I'm not going to finish it. There's chocolate candy and sugary candy, however I want to finish that. Okay, so this is a way of taking that microprogression and actually demonstrating it on another tool. What I love to do then is have more examples. So this is these are examples from maybe a book about desserts. So I have a page about candy, a page about cakes, cookies, and ice cream. And then I invite students. This is especially good in a small group. Maybe 2 students will work off of this piece of writing, and 2 other students will work off of this piece of writing. I give them the dry erase markers, and they have to work together to power up the writing. I've never had students not try to power up to a 3-star. As soon as you show them how to do it, they immediately want to do that. Now, the real key is, do they do it when they go back to their seats in their own writing? And I have to tell you that this tool works like magic. I've seen it happen over and over again. Once I pull a small group or use this in a conference, students love to go back and try to power up their own writing. So I invite you to try creating microprogressions. What is a skill that your students are struggling with, and how can you gradually lift that skill by making the skill just a tiny bit harder, tiny bit harder. So a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, maybe even 4-star. If these tools are intriguing to you and you'd like some more guidance in creating tools like this and many others, I'm going to put a link to a course that I teach that takes you through the creation of lots and lots of tools that you can use to lift the level of your writing conferences and small groups. So make sure you check out that link below.